Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KMBN in Western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. It is the 7th of July, 2026. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. Back to reality for every sports fan out there that got hooked up with what had taken place over the last month with the World Cup. It came to a screeching, crashing, whatever adjective you want to describe of what went down the 2 hours in Seattle last night. But it is officially donezo for the Americans. The United States eliminated last night. We'll show you the highlights here in just a minute. We're going to spend, I'd say, the first 20 to 25 minutes on it this morning. I think it's relevant to do that. Then we're going to hit some other topics on the show this morning, because we got a couple of fun guests we have coming up in hour two of our show. Not to diminish our first hour guests, but we're going to do some other stuff coming up in the second hour. And there are a variety of opinions on this, some that are well-educated, others are the fans, and I don't know if fans isn't the right word. I'd say they're the observers that are going to pick on the sport and its fans that they paid attention to the sport now for the first time in a month, over the last month, and they're going to go away for 4 years. And we'll see them again in 2030 for the next World Cup. And that's fine. I mean, if you're not a hardcore fan of it, I'm not going to sit here and say I am. You're right. When the national teams play, whether it's the women or the men, I will pay attention to it if I know about it, whether it's a friendly or if it's a tournament like the Gold Cup, or if whatever the U.S. women are playing in the Olympics. I'm going to pay attention to that because I am invested to that amount. Am I invested to the point where I have a particular team? I tried to do that a few years ago. I think it was probably around the last World Cup, or maybe the 2014, 2018 time. And I really did try. And I just did not. Once professional football started here, and college football, I didn't have the time to do it. Now, could I try again here? The Premier League season starts in a couple of weeks. That starts in August. Maybe. I just don't know if I'm going to do that. And I don't know how many others will. Maybe they will. There certainly seems like there's some buzz to it. But unfortunately, the same old happened for the U.S. men's national team. I will say for my generation, I'm 47. So the 1994 World Cup was my first introduction to soccer, because it wasn't big in my hometown. It wasn't a deal. So seeing it played in the United States, and ESPN covered it from the start to the end, it was the biggest thing ever. Like, wow, this is cool. I was 15 years old. You got me. I was in for the World Cup after that. So I've invested enough in that. At my old radio show, when we crashed out, we didn't even make the World Cup in 2018. I spent like 2 whole days lamenting how bad that was, that we couldn't even make it, that we weren't even there. But this has been the deal. 2002 is now 24 years ago, and that tournament isn't remembered because it was played in Asia. So the games were happening in the middle of the night, so nobody saw it that we made the last 8. But my point is, 94, made it to the knockout round of 16, lost. 98, we lost all 3 games. Not great. 2002, made it to the last 8. Good stuff. 2006, lost all three. Not good. 2010, barely made it to the knockout round, lost to Ghana. 2014, made it to the knockout round, lost to Belgium. 2018, we didn't even make it. And then 2022, we made it to the knockout stage and lost to the Dutch. And you had everything surrounding the game yesterday with Flo Balogun. We talked about it extensively on the show of the corruption that was involved in getting his red card rescinded. Hate to say it, wasn't a factor yesterday. What he just didn't register really anything in the game. And if you showed up late, like if you were 10 minutes late to the game, we were already losing. The Belgians scored here. Defensively, not our best effort. And that was something that was going to come back to bite us. Now, Malik Tillman has been a godsend this tournament. He had the free kick goal against the Bosnians last week. He gets another one here over the wall that's partially deflected there to tie the game. And then, literally, 2 minutes later, Belgium scores again. The same guy on a great header. I'm not sure what we're doing defensively. It was 2-1 at halftime. This is the unacceptable goal. I'm not sure what Matt Freese is doing, our goalkeeper, but you can't be caught 30 yards away from the net. We're going to talk about it our next. I just don't. It's a comedy of errors. You can't do that in high school soccer, let alone the World Cup. Christian Pulisic didn't even play the second half of this match. The Belgians scored another goal in stoppage time. I don't even know if 4-1 actually is appropriate or tells the story, because we got our you-know-what's kicked last night. And again, out on the route of 16 for the fourth straight World Cup that we made. There's a one we didn't even make it to in 2018. So Belgium is moving on. Belgium will play Spain. The Spanish scored in stoppage time to beat Portugal yesterday. That would have awaited us had the United States won last night. And we're going to spend more time on this here over the next few minutes on what the threshold was for this team. But last night, it's hard to not think all the goodwill was washed away with what went down in Seattle last night. There's one quadrant left. Argentina will play Egypt this morning. So we'll get to see Messi play another time. And then you've got Colombia and Switzerland. That'll round out the last 8. And I love how the British broadcasters call some things we take for granted. Like we would say the quarterfinalists, they say the last 8. We would say they've advanced. They say they've gone through. It's little things like that, but it sounds so much better when they say it than when American broadcasters say it. I don't know what it is, but it just sounds better. And then we'll be down to the final 8, which will start, I believe, on Thursday as the first quarterfinal, because we're coming to a screeching halt to end this tournament. So there's a few things on this, and I am not educated enough. That's why I bring guests on to discuss certain topics that are above my intellect level or pay grade level. On terms of youth soccer, in terms of what we spend on it and how we develop players, I know that we have more players playing overseas ever before. So that would tend to be a good thing, that we have more players playing in England, in Italy, in Germany. That's a good thing. But it is a recurring theme that when the United States plays the best teams in the world, specifically from Europe, we do not perform well. And when I mean perform well, we get our butts kicked. We're great against Panama and Costa Rica, and I think we do fairly well against Mexico. But when we go out of our continent, when we go out of our hemisphere and go against the likes of the European nations, it's like Alabama playing Delaware State. It's not close. That's not close last night. Belgium is ranked, I think, 9th in the world or 10th in the world. We're ranked 17th. So you could extrapolate and say, okay, well, we were FIFA ranking as 17. We made it to the last 16. We hit our watermark. And I think if you would have told me that a month ago, I was like, all right, we won a knockout round game. We won our group. I'd take that. But it's the way that it ended. And Christian Pulisic didn't do anything. Now, he very well looked like he was hurt. Not good. I will say this, and then we're going to set up our show and get rolling here because I'm going to let the experts talk from here. Fox's coverage last night was a mixed bag, and I'll say it. The game coverage was fine. I think they do a nice job there. John Strong is a really good, I think, soccer play-by-play guy. Ian Dark is normally my guy, who called the Brazil-Norway game on Sunday. Afterwards, that's where you want critical analysis, right? You don't want red, white, and blue colored glasses on to say this was great. Unfortunately, there was part of that with Fox. John Strong actually pleading during the end of the broadcast that don't let this be the last soccer game you watch for the next 4 years. I thought that was really interesting. He said that during the end of the match. I thought Carly Lloyd was outstanding at the end of the broadcast last night, saying that this wasn't good enough, that we weren't prepared. We did not execute. She was spot on. She did not sugarcoat anything, and that's what you need. The best live sports television is when your analysts are allowed to speak and speak freely about what they've saw. Not to, and I'll say that unfortunately it happens on the Twins broadcast all the time. It used to. Corey Provis is better at it. I think Corey calls it out when things are bad. He'll say it. I wouldn't say all the analysts follow that. The Vikings radio broadcast is not great on that in terms of, I think Bursic is pretty good in terms of when things go haywire, but other than that, it's hard to get the main play-by-play guy to say anything ill of the Vikes. I would hope that in my time of doing Bison games, I've called out when the things have not gone well to say that, whether it be football or basketball, whatever sport that I've done. And that's, you don't want that. And I don't think we got that fully out of the Fox broadcast last night. We got it in a little bit. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been really good. He called it like it is as well. I think he said it. Belgium's going to win the game, and he was spot on about that. Where we go from here, there will be time to dissect that going forward. The biggest question is the head coach, is Mauricio Pochettino. He's got a contract waiting for him if he wants to continue to be the head coach for the next cycle. And that's the thing. He was brought in the middle of this, which was a whole debacle. And Drew and I talked about this right after the last one wrapped because we messed around for 2 years before deciding what we're going to do. And here's the thing about 2030. We're not automatically in it. We were automatically in this one because we hosted it. We have to qualify, which is not an easy endeavor. Look at the teams that didn't make it. The Italians aren't in it again. If Italy can't get through, what does that say about the USA? That's a topic for another time. We got a lot to get to today. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. I mentioned we got Drew in a day early today, which is perfect to dissect what happened last night in his favorite town of Seattle. Just a massive thump that happened for the United States against Belgium. That's in just a few minutes. I haven't seen my guy Mike in, a month. He'll be here in studio. McFeely will be to chat on submitting his Mountain West preseason all-conference team. I'm interested to see what he did there, and we'll chat about my poll. We'll do that at 9:35. Our second hour is filled with a couple of Bison commits, one in football, one in basketball. At 10 o'clock, Charlie Hoel will join us out of Wisconsin. He is the first Bison men's basketball commit for the class of 2027. And then at 10:35, anytime we can get a punter on the show is good stuff. Evan Wozniak will join us. He's an interesting story. He also played strong safety for his state champion team out of Arrowhead, Wisconsin. He will join us as the 2027 Bison punting commit to wrap up the show at about 10:35. So a lot to get to here on a busy Tuesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. Much more on the U.S. loss to Belgium last night. What happened? What went wrong? Where we go from here? And the rest of the tournament. There are still games to be played. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns after this.
the biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
All right, don't adjust your calendar. It is Tuesday. Drew's joining us a day early, which works out well both for our show and your schedule because of what went down last night. And, you know, there's a bunch of ways I could kind of leap into this. I'll just go with this. What did you make of what happened last night?
Yeah, big takeaways, right, are like there's no shame in losing to Belgium. You know, they are a top 8 nation in the world. Heading into this tournament, as you said, like when we were setting up our bracket and I was showing that off, like we thought this is about where the U.S. would probably end its run. So that's fine. You know, like that's what it is. It's how they lost, which is the big issue this morning, because I think had they lost 2-1, or they had shown up and like they had played, you know, with the same vigor and, you know, like creativity that people had been enamored by in the first 4 games that they had played, the reaction this morning would be vastly different, you know, because it's like, hey, you know, we're a top 16 team in the world. We have been for the last 20 years, like pretty inarguably. We're entrenched in that spot. It's just like, what does it take to push through to that final 8, to that final 4? You know, I think each of those are big stepping stones. And I think, you know, we just got a heavy dose of reality there. But it was, so there's that, right? So there's that whole thing of the no moral victories. From the game standpoint, I thought it was evident very early on that we were not going to win. You know, like I think it was before Belgium even scored, and that was, you know, what, 8
minutes into the game.
You have proactive soccer and reactive soccer, and when you're playing reactively, it's you know there's like if you notice a team playing reactively for a long stretch of time, you know, and it's not coming out of the half when adjustments have been made or in that first few minutes, it's very apparent early on that team's at a stark disadvantage.
We didn't have the ball.
No.
I mean, I'm not a great soccer mind, but you need the ball if you want to score.
So, and then if you look at it from a tactics standpoint, right, the things that we were all worried about as U.S. soccer fans heading into this tournament, the lack of athleticism in our defense. That showed in this game big time. The lack of depth in our midfield. That came to pass, which was that one hurt probably me more than anything because that had been such a bright spot of how this team played. Even in its loss against Turkey, our central midfield had been just controlling that middle third of the field, and they had been playing so well, and that had set up everything else. And those guys just really struggled last night, and that was really hard to see. And then, you know, at that point, it's quicksand, and it's you know, like, and I think when you're out there playing in a game where it's just constantly flowing, and you're constantly half a step off, right, and the passes just are like not quite getting there, that's when you start tightening up, and it's the exact opposite of what you need to do to break through it, and that was so apparent in the game last night, and it was just hard to watch.
Just a thud, man. It really is. It's a collective thud of how this ended.
Yes.
And it takes away the goodwill. It does to me that they won the group, they won an elimination game, and that seems just put to the side because we lost again. And this play, I mean, you can't have this.
Yeah, and that's
like, this is terrible.
That's that quicksand, right? I mean, it's Freeze trying to make a play, trying to keep the pressure up, because at that point of the match they were actually, you know, it was right after halftime.
I thought our goaltending was not great. I'm just going to say, I thought our goalkeeping was very average to below average.
So, like, heading into the tournament, we kind of had a 1A, 1B situation, and Matt Turner, who had been our keeper for the previous
last
World Cup cycle, who had done some amazing things.
I liked him at 22, but he's 4 years older now.
He's 4 years older, and you know, Freeze had a couple advantages going his way. He was the hotter hand, you know, in this past year, and you take that into account when you're making that selection. But the nice thing there is, you know, I think this next World Cup coming up in 2030, you know, I look at the goalkeeping position a lot like NFL teams value running backs. You know, it's like, you know, they're kind of like, you know, you kind of turn them.
Yeah.
You know, and we've never had a problem in the United States with, you know, just because a lot of our sports are hand-eye coordination involved, having that talent there. So I think we'll be fine.
Tim Howard was awesome. Tim Howard was our goalkeeper for 2 World Cups.
2 World Cup cycles.
And he was really good.
So good. Casey Keller,
Yes.
Brad Friedel.
Yes.
Like you go down the list. And
Tony Miola, I remember,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, we had
they're
good ones.
They're very
here.
good.
Email comes in. Dom, until the U.S. walks the path of other good teams and learns to pull global players that have one or both players of U.S. citizenship to improve the player pool, this pattern of mediocrity will continue. What do you make of that statement?
I don't know. I think the problem is it's a little more foundational than that. I think I think we've talked about this before. Like the reality is, in the rest of the world, this is a poor kid's sport. It's the sport you play like that takes nothing. It takes a wadded ball of paper, and that's it.
That's not the case in the United States.
No, and in the United States, it's a rich kid's game.
Yeah.
And it's take that for what you will. There are a lot of sports that are like that in the United States.
Hockey's not a cheap endeavor.
No. But so it's you're not getting that base level where it's ingrained in you at such you want it more. It's foundational to your identity if that's what you're playing from the time you can remember, and that's your escape in life. That's your way out in life. And there's and so it's a different sort of it starts differently at those levels. The other thing I'll say, in defense of what we saw is, people will say like, oh, we're terrible at soccer, and you'll hear that all the time. There are 211 different nations that play FIFA soccer. Okay, that's like 6.25 times the size of the NFL. Okay, and we were in the final 16.
Yep.
Like that's like being in the best division in the NFL, cut in half, and like you're in the top 2 teams basically. It's like that's where you are. There's a huge gap.
That's the thing that irritates me. Like 2002 is now 24 years ago when we made the last 8.
Yes,
and that to me is like the frustrating.
Yeah,
I've seen this story before.
Of course, and our sports culture is in the United States is if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
It's like if you didn't win, it doesn't matter.
See, but I think with the men's team, I think it would be different. If they won this game, I think there have been so much like, okay, we got over that hump.
Yes.
That
Now
if
we're in the
Spain
final 8.
beats us 5-0, it's fine.
And they wouldn't have.
We
So-
made this round.
And they wouldn't have, because Spain is not built to score that many goals this cup. They are the ground and pound. We're going to keep you off the scoreboard.
Which they did yesterday. I mean, they didn't
shove it
score
up the
till the
gut
very rest
and just
part
run.
of the game.
Like they're like old school NFL style where
But that's to me
it's 1-0.
why it
2-0.
feels different. It feels
does.
the same. It's the same round we've lost. Yeah, okay, we won a game to get here, but the tournament expanded, so that's why I feel.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not sure. I just feel let down. Is kind of how I feel about it.
And
this
some
morning.
of that has to do with the fact that we won 2 group games.
Yep.
And then we won against Bosnia.
Yeah.
And you can look at it like this. Look at it. We beat 3 teams that advanced to the knockouts in this tournament.
Yep.
We beat 1 team that advanced to the round of 16 in Paraguay that knocked out a top 10 team in Germany. So there's that. And we took care of business in the group stage, which we have not done historically.
Yep.
Like we usually get through, by
barely
the skin of our teeth,
yes,
to
you're
the
exactly
knockout
right.
round,
Yep.
right? So we did
totally.
that. So it seemed like we were set up to have more success than we ended up having. And I felt that way too. Like before the game, going into last night's game, having
we were
Balogun
favored.
back,
We were favored to win the game.
having the home field advantage in that environment, I was like, we're gonna win this game.
Yep.
Like here comes Spain, and they just the tactics weren't there.
No.
And they chose to play. They had their worst game of the tournament
At the worst time.
Belgium had their best game of the tournament.
Let's just get the we've ignored the 1,000-pound elephant in the room. The Belgians were certainly inspired by everything that happened.
Oh, absolutely. They were fired
the
up.
president getting involved and getting Balogun back. Certainly, Belgium was like, all right, F that. We're going to come out and we're going to
And they changed.
show
So
ya."
they replaced 2 of their standard bearer players who had not been performing
with younger players.
And that
pretty good.
opened up their creativity in the attacking third, and that changed the shape. And they did things that the United States clearly were not expecting in that first 10, 15 minutes, and that created a reactive, play style, and then it was the quicksand.
I got this sent to me as well. Dear bandwagon soccer fans, it was fun hanging out. Really, it was a good time. This is U.S. soccer. It sucks most of the time. You should watch the Premier League. Anyways, let's do it again in 4 years. And there's a large section of fans that were wrapped up in this. And I think because there's no other real sporting events happening, that this grabbed people's attention in a way that maybe, I don't know in 4 years if it will, because it's going to be in Europe and it's going to be 6 to 7 hours ahead of of Central Standard Time.
That'll be tough.
That will be a difficult challenge. And we're not automatically in it. We still have to qualify to make the next one.
But it will be an expanded tournament, so it'll be easier to qualify than we've had to qualify in the past. I would say one thing with that, too, is if say it's not 4 years, say it's 2 years, because Copa America is going to be back in the United States.
Looks like it's going to be here, right? Yeah.
Not guaranteed, but it's likely it will be. And that'll be right after the Olympics, probably, because they're going to have to offset when they normally play it. And so they're going to it'll be following the Olympics, so there will be that.
Be the best of South America will be here. And that's
Copa America is well, so it's part of our effort as a federation, the United States Soccer Federation, to get better and push into that top 8. Because what happens is we just play CONCACAF nations, our own region.
I'm done with beating Costa Rica and Haiti and Trinidad and Mexico. Okay.
9 out of every 10 finals in the Gold Cup, which is our region's championship, it's U.S.-Mexico. And it will always be U.S.-Mexico.
I'd like to see us play. We got to go here, but to play a Belgium or to I remember I was anchoring the sports the night we beat Spain in the whatever it was before the World Cup, the Confederations Cup.
Yeah.
It was Spain was the reigning champs. We were the number 1 team in the world and we beat them. That was a big bleeping deal. That was 2009.
Yeah,
that's
been
17 years ago. I mean,
then the year after that, though, in the 2010 World Cup, we make it to the knockout and we lose.
Right, we lost to Ghana. Right.
It's the same thing. So it's just figuring out that next. How do we get into that top 8?
I don't know. And that's the question again that's going to linger for 4 years here.
It will.
Because we're done. And the tournament isn't. I'm on board. I told Kevin Walvin yesterday, I'm all on board with Norway.
Yeah, Norway's fun.
I am on board with the Norwegians. They beat Brazil. Go beat England. Now that'll be a story.
Norway's fun. I mean, if you want to watch good soccer, I think Spain's a little boring. Because
Argentina's
they do play.
Obviously the odds-on favorite. They
on
have
that
been.
side of the bracket, I think they are because they have the easier path. But I would think, France to me, they just
France
play so
like
consistently, beautifully that it's they're a fun team to watch. So if you want to watch like entertaining soccer, it's France.
It's been fun, but disappointing end for what went down. Thanks for coming in a day early. Appreciate it, and we'll chat next week. Okay.
Yes, sounds
Drew
good.
Trafton joining us here on this Tuesday morning. All right, we'll break. We come back. Our resident soccer guru, Mike McFeely, joins us. We'll talk the other football. I just got her scheduled for the Mountain West Media Days. We're going to chat about that, ballots, and all sorts of stuff. College football right around the corner. We're back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely. I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Mike's appearance on Hot Mike is brought to you by Sunset Lanes of Moorhead.
All right. It's our guy. I haven't seen you in like a month. How's it going? How you been?
Has it been great? I mean, yeah, it's been really unfortunate.
I don't know how to rip the band. Well, how good have you been?
I've been mostly on vacation for the last 2 weeks, so I'm just fine.
Well, I want to rip the Band-Aid off here because I got to ask you about the Jalen Brown, Paul George disaster.
Why do you?
Because I saw it on vacation.
But why do you gotta do that?
But I didn't text you because I wanted to do it here.
Why do you got to do that?
What is Brad Stevens doing?
I don't know. Nobody knows. He doesn't know.
Paul George?
Paul George is older than I am and slower than I am.
I saw Paul George playing Fresno State against the Bison.
Yeah, he's like in a wheelchair now out there, trying to play. And it's so I don't know.
Why did they do this?
The best I can come up with just from reading other stuff, in national publications, and is that the Celtics were just desperate to make a move. And they tried to get Giannis for Jalen Brown, and they felt they needed to do something. They couldn't stand pat. I'll give them that.
After losing the 3-1 lead to Philly.
After they were exposed against Philly badly. It was the whole regular season was a charade, the way that they – but it's true. I mean,
how it ended. And, I mean, Embiid dominated the Celtics those last 3 games.
And they didn't really have an inside presence at all, even though Cato was fine. But I think they felt they had to do something. Somebody that we both know well, who knows a little bit about basketball, not a lot, but a little about basketball. I was exchanging some text with him, and he said I think what's going on is Brad Stevens feels like Tatum and Brown have been together for 10 years or whatever it's been, and they came up together, and their whole spiel was, nobody believes in us. We have to win a championship. They won the championship 2 years ago.
Yep.
They let it ride for a while, and Brad Stevens said, okay, they're just done. Not that they dislike each other, but there's not the same edge, the same hunger. This person suggests to me that the NBA mind at times, once you win a championship, unless you're Jordan or LeBron, your mind starts to go other places. Like, okay, I've done it. So now it's time for me. Now it's time for me to average 27 a game and get the max contract, and which is all human nature.
You can go get it.
And so I don't know if Brad Stevens felt that it was just time to break things up and start. But they're
in Philly though. Trade to Philly.
They trade They trade to an Eastern Conference team that beat them last year with Embiid and
Tyrese Maxey,
and VJ Edgecombe. And they make the Sixers way better, and they make themselves way worse.
Yes. And by the way, the Knicks won the NBA championship in that same division. So what?
But doesn't it feel like the Knicks though are like a one-off?
I think it's going to be very hard for them to do it again.
I think that was like they caught fire, and more power to them.
Absolutely.
That championships are often won that way, where a team just maybe not the most talented.
Hot.
It's just they get hot. Well, Brunson was unbelievable. That feels like a one-year thing to me, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's.
Man.
I don't know. I mean, my wife was despondent.
I bet.
I mean, despondent.
I bet. Well, and Brown didn't request a trade. None of that ever came out, right?
No, but I mean, they
end of the season.
They were clearly shopping him around, so maybe they
wanted to go for Giannis, right?
I mean, maybe he's like, well, okay. Oof. The other odd, and we're getting way deep into the NBA talk here for this area, but I don't care. It's not my show. I don't have to answer anybody. I've read some analytics things that actually Derek White had a better year than Jaylen Brown. And Brown was going off on social media about that. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw them going off on social media.
No, Jaylen Brown himself went off on social media about, what are we doing? Like, really? Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I mean, so these analytics guys are running the show, and I'm thinking, well, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
And he said, how about the eye test? How about the heart test? How about the, I mean, my God. And so he was deeply offended by the idea that analytics showed that he didn't have as good a year as Derek White.
One last email to ask on NBA. Mike, what are the chances LeBron James is a Minnesota Timberwolf?
Oh, that'd be unbelievable.
It would be unbelievable.
Yes. I hope it's not. My guy, John Krasinski at The Athletic, who I mentored at the Forum, by the way, and I put him on his path to greatness. He'll tell you that.
Yes.
He'll tell you that. People have come up to me with tears in their eyes and said, thank you, sir. Big, strong guys have come up to me with tears in their eyes and said, thank you, sir. Thank you for putting John Krasinski on the path to success. He believes it's a real thing. Like, this could really happen.
Wow.
Like, the Wolves think they're in the running.
A-Rod doing his magic here.
And LeBron's agent at some podcast, which I did not listen to. I just read Krasinski's stuff, and his agent was making it.
Yeah.
Now, an agent's job is to get
interest,
but I mean, LeBron doesn't need the money.
No.
And LeBron has said, this isn't about the money. And I believe that, because what
do you need? Throw it on the pile.
Do you need more than $1 billion? And so it's more about trying to find the right place where he can, leave his legacy. And that's Krasinski's argument is, what better place than the Timberwolves? Like, he could, if he could elevate them to at least get to the finals. I mean, then you just walk out the door and go,
"Yep,
I am the best.
Yeah.
I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
See you later."
Yep.
Oh
my God, if they won it,
I don't. If LeBron James is playing in Minneapolis next year, I am going to be hitting my bosses hard a lot of trips down to the Twin Cities. I mean, that'd be fantastic.
Yes,
fantastic.
That's exactly right. Did you submit your Mountain West preseason pull our preseason all-conference team ballot.
I did.
Yes?
Yes.
How much consternation did you have over that?
Well, a lot. And I think like you and Kolpak, I took some time. I took a couple days to poke around and read some things and send a couple emails to people to saying, I mean, I don't know, does this look okay? Like, I don't know. I just don't know any of the players from other teams. I think that we could more easily look at something like the Missouri Valley Football Conference, still obviously for obvious reasons, and say, okay, we know Quentin Christensen at SDSU is a really good offensive lineman.
Yes.
We know Lance Rucker's a really good D end at North Dakota. I look at a lot of the names in the Mountain West and go,
yeah, right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so I tried to do what I could do and look at other people's selections in other publications. And as I said, at least talk to or communicate with a couple people that know the league way better than I do. And I submitted it and I did the best I could. And I
same here.
And I'll admit that if I got some wrong, I got some wrong. But world, if there's anybody from the Mountain West watching this or listening to it, I did try to do what research I could do. I didn't just blindly pick 15 NDSU guys and go, oh, they're better than everybody else. I voted for a couple. Well, I shouldn't say, but I mean, we'll wait till it'll come out next week.
Next week.
Yep.
I did as well, and I was scouring some other sites like you as well to say, okay, who are they? It feels like we're in a much bigger pond now. That's all it feels like, of trying to get my arms around what we're going to cover, what we're going to see. It's because the Missouri Valley and the FCS is a small pond. We certainly knew that one. This is a much bigger one with different teams and different players, and still trying to wrap my mind around, all right, I've heard of this guy. I think he's pretty good.
Yep.
We're going to see how good he is.
This guy was the defensive player of the year a year ago.
Yep.
Well, okay, and he's back this year.
Yes. Yep.
And if you look at the all-conference lists, a lot of the guys aren't back.
No.
I mean, there's very few all-conference players.
Well, with
back.
5 teams gone,
Well, 5 teams
and
gone,
some
plus
guys
the
moving
transfer
up.
portal
Correct.
and graduation.
Yep.
There's very few all-conference guys postseason back.
What I did find was interesting, and I wrote about this yesterday, that half of the league will have FCS quarterbacks leading them.
I saw that. I read that.
What do you make of that?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. It's and again, one of the interesting things that I've noticed is that some of the other media, and again, I'm impressed with the media who are covering the Mountain West. It's a different deal. Everybody's not in their silos. They actually watch the games of other teams.
Reach
in the
out
league,
to talk with other teams.
Reach out to talk with other people who cover.
Yep.
So I'm impressed. But what I have noticed is that, and it's natural because they don't know what they don't know, is they're not buying into the NDSU thing because they're FCS. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, they are, but you're also telling me that New Mexico has really improved because Eck brought Idaho players to New Mexico.
Right.
Well, okay, so
a bunch of FCS guys.
They went from terrible to
good,
really good, because they brought a bunch of FCS guys with them. And then, they're going to find FCS players to play quarterback in the league.
Yep.
And so, okay, so which is it?
Yeah, I know. It can't be both.
And so that's that's just a nitpicky thing that I noticed. Which again, I greatly respect what I've seen of the other Mountain West media, because they take their job seriously. It's not all about the home team.
No.
And they have a pretty good handle on the rest of the league and what's going on in terms of the background stuff.
All right, let's break. We come back. I want to get Mike's thoughts on my preseason ballot. The league's not doing one. I want to ask you about that as well, and a couple other football things we'll hit to wrap up our first hour. We're back on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour with our guy, Mike McFeely. His appearances are brought to us by Sunset Lanes over in Moorhead. I was driving by there a couple weeks ago, heading to Moorhead Country Club. It was hopping.
Yeah.
And it was the end of June,
they're
man.
busy.
It was hopping. It was good stuff.
They have parties and stuff there.
So last week, when the league sent out the emails to all of us media members to vote on the preseason all-conference team, it also had a line in there that said we are not releasing a preseason ballot because of conference realignment.
Yeah, Big 12 did the same thing. And I sort of applaud them for it because
Yeah.
All these teams are new. I mean, every team turns over.
They're the
for
first to
most
actually
part.
say conference realignment, though, was the reason why they weren't doing it.
But, I mean, the Big 12 has not had one for
last
the
couple
last
years
couple
now.
of years.
Yep. Big 10 has never done one.
Right. And so we don't know. It allows people like you and I, and I'll have mine coming out later. You beat me to the punch, which is fine, to release and other media guys in the league have done it. Chris Murray at Nevada. Alex Taylor from Wyoming had his ballot or his pretend ballot out. So it allows us to kind of maybe drive the narrative a little bit on how the teams are going to stack up in the Mountain West, which is fine with me.
What did you make of my ballot? We're going to put up on the screen here.
Wow.
So I had New Mexico winning the league.
Yes.
I know UNLV seems to be everybody's choice du jour.
UNLV is they're the choice by especially national media.
Yes.
They
got some questions defense.
Defensively, that's again.
Yes.
I don't know the league. I'm not, but defensively, if you look at some of the numbers that they allowed a year ago, they're wasn't great. And New Mexico, Eck has something going there, so we'll see. I might like, and we don't know how good this quarterback is going to be for UNLV.
No, Jackson Arnold's on his third separate stop
right?
now.
And he's a 5-star recruit from 3 or 4 years ago, and was this highly touted kid. But the fact is that he is in Las Vegas now, playing in the Mountain West.
He's not playing at Oklahoma, and he's not playing at Auburn.
He did not end up at a Big Ten school or an SEC school or a Big 12 school or a Pac-12. He ended up at the Mountain West, and so there's
that.
There's reasons for everything. Maybe the kid will be fantastic. Maybe this is what he needed. Kind of to slow things down.
I look at their first 2 games. UNLV plays Memphis, and then they go to Hawaii. That is a tough first 2 for them to start the year.
Yeah, and so we'll see. I mean, if they beat Memphis, you go, okay, they'll be fine. But when I do mine, I might lean the same way you do on those 2, just to kind of say,
How about the Bison?
Plus, New Mexico has the Defensive Player of the Year back in Jason X Kid Jackson.
Yep,
is
a linebacker.
Middle linebacker.
Yep.
That's
a good spot.
That's a good spot and a good player to have back if you're going to have somebody back.
I had the Bison third. Is that outrageous? Right about where you think, or no?
I've seen Alex Taylor from Wyoming has them 6th.
I don't see that.
Phil Steele, the national guy, has them 5th. Bill Connolly from ESPN, the analytics guy, has them 3rd. I would lean right now toward 3rd, 4th. It just there's so much we don't know, and everybody talks about the schedule. That's all true.
Yep.
But the other part you have to remember with NDSU is they're still operating, I think, basically on a 63 scholarship team because they didn't have the transition year. No. And so they're adding players still, which again is not a good sign when you're adding these kids. I think you wrote about today they've committed.
They've been here for a little bit, about a month. Yeah,
right. So, but when you're adding guys in June, as we've said, I don't know if that's the best sign. But as the Bison go through their schedule, once you get into late October and November, does the travel and the potential lack of depth begin to show up?
Yep.
And that's where I think I don't know that they're going to go 0-4 in those 4 road games that everybody talks about. It seems unlikely to me.
I think 2-2.
They're going to lose to Air Force, Hawaii, UNLV, and New Mexico. That seems unlikely to me, having watched NDSU football for 30 years, covered it for 30 years. But are they going to win all the games we think they're going to win? If it gets to be Thanksgiving weekend and San Jose is bad. They were bad a year ago, and I don't know if they're going to be. But if you get to that game at the end of November and you're down starters in 5 positions because of injury, and again, NDSU's not going to be able to rest guys against Murray State anymore.
No, there's not that.
You got a hangnail? All right, take the next 2 weeks off. Get ready for South Dakota State. That's not going to happen anymore.
No, it's not.
That's going to be an interesting thing to me is to see where they are in late October and November in terms of depth and injuries. If they stay healthy and young guys step up and fill some of the if they lose a guy here, it's like, ooh. Then 9-3 is a possibility.
Yep.
8-4 is a possibility. But if not, is that last game then to get to a bowl game?
Or like 7-5,
5-5,
or
right.
8-4, something like that.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
That's
intriguing.
And again, I'm fine with all of this because we don't know. We know we don't know that they're going to win 10 games automatically.
Correct.
We don't know, which is fine.
Yep. It's fun. It's totally different. I'll say that.
Yes.
That's the not knowing part is both exciting and different.
As I've said before, this year it's fine. Next year, Paulsec better be double digits.
Mountain West Championship game or bust,
better
right?
be CFP, Paulsec. Next year.
Hey, McMurphy's already put it on and they're going to make it. So he came on this show and told us that.
So you have New Mexico winning the McMurphy Cup.
Yes, correct.
Okay, good.
That's the interesting part. I mean, how Wyoming offensively can't make their way out of a paper bag. Are they going to be any good? Nevada, I mean, Choate's under real pressure. They have Montana State.
Hey, look. This is the other thing I've been thinking about. So, and again, the guys in the Mountain West who cover it don't know what they don't know. I'm not criticizing them because I don't know anything about the Mountain West. But what if Montana State goes...
I said this yesterday.
What if Montana State goes to Reno and boat races Nevada, which I think is a possibility. Okay? So the last 5 years, Montana State and NDSU have been pretty close, right? NDSU got the best of them
in the title game a couple years ago,
and the playoff game, but they've been pretty close. They've at least been closer than they had been historically. Okay,
so what if that happens?
So what if they go in there and absolutely boat race Nevada?
Okay,
number one. Is Brent Vegan the head coach at Nevada next year?
Right.
And number two, then what do you say then?
About NDSU? Correct.
But they're FCS.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're not FCS. Montana right now is not Montana State. Pardon me, is not operating like an FCS school.
Montana State is going to be favored to win that game. Don't you think?
I would think so.
Yeah.
So anyway,
look out for that one.
It's
all
new. It's fun. It's exciting. Man. I can't wait to get to Vegas next week.
Yeah, we'll be there next week.
Yeah.
Part of we're doing the show out there. I know yourself, Jeffrey, will be out there. It should be fantastic. I'm looking forward. You've not been, correct?
No, I'm not like a world traveler, but I've been around
You've been
some
a bunch of places.
I've been some places. Well, I've never been to Las Vegas.
In July, man, it's great. It's only 110 degrees.
I'm bringing a wool suit. I'm going to be wearing long pants and a suit jacket.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And a tie every day to media days. I actually asked my wife that. I said, so should I?
You're making fun of me. I'm going to have to wear a suit and tie when we're out there.
Good luck to you. I asked my wife, should I bring like a jacket, like a sport coat to wear? Because it's, I got to class it up here. NDSU has stepped up, and we're going to have to step up in our coverage of the FBS program. And she's like, are you going to be like on TV? I go, no. She's like, I just kind of wear golf shirts and maybe some khakis at the most, and then the second you're done working, put shorts on because it's going to be like 1,000 degrees on the surface of the sun.
Yeah, yes, it might be a bit warm next week. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you next week. Okay, Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. His appearances are brought to us by Sunset Lanes out of Moorhead. Let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Bison basketball. David Richmond's got his first 2027 commit. Big man. Charlie Hoel out of Wisconsin will join us when Hot Mike Hour 2 starts next.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 Hot Mike, ready to rock and roll here on this Tuesday. Our thanks to Mike McFeely for giving us a few minutes there to wrap up Hour 1. More football chatter coming up in about a half hour. We're going to shift gears and talk some hoops here on this Tuesday morning. The Bison men's basketball team has got its roster set for 2026. There are going to be a bunch of new guys, 8 or 9 guys there, but we also know that David Richmond has not stopped recruiting high school guys. There's 5 incoming freshmen for this year, and now he's off to 2027. He's got his first commit out of a familiar state. Wisconsin has been awfully good to Bison men's basketball, and they hope that their next incoming guy will continue that tradition. As last night, Charlie Hoel announced his commitment to play for NDSU, and he joins us this morning. As he told me before we start, he's not driving, everybody. He's just sitting here to give us a few minutes here. It's great to see you, man. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations. Tell us about this decision. I know you had a bunch of other offers come in. I want to ask you about that, but why NDSU? Why was this the school for you?
Yeah, thank you. For sure, the first thing that caught my eye was the culture. I mean, like I said, I got to come out here to a homecoming football game, and the first time I stepped on campus, it was just my eyes lit up. It was, like where I wanted to be, what I wanted to call home. And then the coaching staff and Coach Richmond, they're my type of people. They're, I just like that he doesn't put on personas for recruits. He's a straightforward guy, and, always loved that about him, and hoping to, continue that.
I'm assuming he told you if you don't play defense, you're not playing. Was that somewhere in the recruiting pitch?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Heard that once or twice.
So how are you 6'9", 6'10"? How tall are you right now?
I'm about 6'9", barefoot, with some change, and then 7'1" wingspan.
There we go. That'll work. So what about NDSU and how they play? Does that fit you, or is that what stood out? Say, okay, I can see myself fitting in there.
Well, so I actually grew up right around Noah Feddersen, and watching him grow up and just watching what he did, and then watching him go translate it to college hoops. It really just struck my eye, and I'm like, I feel I can do that same exact thing.
What about this whole process maybe stood out when you got a chance to see Fargo up close? It's like, well, okay, this is where I could see myself living.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the culture around Fargo and just the college atmosphere and how the people just, buzz to the football games and the basketball games and all the other sports. It's awesome. You can't beat it at all.
We're watching a little bit from both high school and your AAU season. What has this last few months been like when recruiting's blown up? You've had a bunch of other offers come in. Just describe what the last few months of your life have been like dealing with this.
It's a grind for sure. It gets a little stressful at times, but, everyone you talk to, that tries to tell you the same thing, that, have fun doing it. And as much as, you try to do it, it's going to get stressful, and, you just try to combat that and just be as good as you can. So, last couple months for sure, talking to a lot of people. There's some days I was on the phone. I felt like more of the times than I wasn't, and it was ridiculous, but you got to be able to balance that with life and school, and then also just, being in the gym, being in the weight room, and trying to get better every day.
How is it overwhelming? I ask recruits this all the time, and I'll ask you as well. Did it get to a point like, man, this is a lot? You mentioned all the things you're trying to balance.
Yeah. For a 17-year-old, it definitely can get difficult. And I'm not even the one that, or some of the kids that are, as busy or as, has as much interest.
Yeah.
There's some kids out there that, I bet they're off on the phone all day. So, I'm blessed, but also, I love it. So.
All right. So you had a camp up here. I think you got offered early June. Tell us about that. And then walking away with an offer, what that did for your mindset of like, all right, this is maybe a real possibility here.
Yeah, I had actually a lot of other camps that weekend. It seems like a lot of other colleges also do their camps that weekend. But, when Coach Richmond, got to me and was like, we got to have you out here. I knew right away that was the place I was going to be that weekend. So, making the drive up here, and it was, I didn't know what was going to happen, but, you hope for the best. And I was going to compete as hard as I could that day. And, then he pulled me aside and I got to talk to him, and, like every conversation I've had with him, it was a good one. And it was a crazy blessing. It was almost surreal because, NDSU is kind of a dream school for a lot of us Midwest kids that get to grow up and watch them playing and dominate. So, it was crazy, but, such a blessing.
Okay, so did you feel like you played pretty well that particular day when they offered you?
Believe it or not, I actually did not. I walked away and I'm like, man, I could have done so much better and just, been so much more, but they believed in me, and they've seen me on other days that I have done much better. So, yeah.
So were you surprised then you got the offer on the day where you thought you didn't play particularly well?
Yeah, a little bit, but like I said, there's such a good, coaching staff, and they see the good in everyone, I feel, so it's definitely a good thing.
So going into the holiday weekend, was it just you? What made you make your mind up then? Was it just something I want to be done now, or did something say, okay, I'm ready to make my decision?
I mean, I'll tell you this, when I got NDSU and SDSU offered, it was really a rat race almost. It was, I knew it was one of those two schools. I mean, they're both such great schools, but then I got down to the kind of the nitty gritty and just had conversations with both head coaches and everything, and it was, I mean, you really just the truth came out in everybody, and Coach Richmond just you can't pass him up. He's 1-1.
So I got to ask, what was that phone call like, making that to Dave, saying you were going to commit?
Well, he said it himself. He goes, I can hear the excitement in your voice. You get a little chattery there. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it was so nerve-wracking, but, then once the words come out, it's just so much relief, It's almost like 10 pounds off your shoulders.
I bet. How much more that made you enjoy the holiday weekend after making it official?
Oh, so much more. And then just getting to hang out with friends and, everyone congratulating you and everything, and getting them tell them why you chose that and all the good things you have to say about NDSU. It's unbelievable.
Charlie, you mentioned Noah's path, and obviously he blossomed into such an amazing, really, really good player this past year. How much do you see yourself in him that I can do that same thing and in a couple years' time and be a big contributor for the Bison?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, like I said, we definitely play a very similar play style, but I know he's one of the hardest workers in that gym. And, if I want to be a fraction of what he is, I got to work hard just like him. So,
When was college basketball reality? Was there a game or practice, or you at AU, like there's someone watching me that, hey, they think I can play mid-major to high-major Division I basketball? Is there a moment that sticks out?
Yeah, definitely. My freshman year of AAU. That year, I didn't play much in my high school team. I think I averaged 1.2 points per game and, got in quite a bit, but I was, kind of on the outs, not a basketball, but just like, is this a reality or not? And then that AAU season, my head coach for AAU Playmakers, Chris Becker, I mean, such a great guy, always done so much for me and always believed in me. And that summer, it kind of really just like picked up for me, and he's like, I mean, you really got a chance at this, but you got to put in the work. And from that point on, it was kind of like, I mean, if you're going to do this, you got to do this.
Did you have a massive growth spurt, or has it been kind of steady?
A lot of coaches actually ask this, but it's been pretty consistent. Yeah. It's about like every year since about my 8th grade year, it's kind of been 2 inches every year until, this year it just kind of dwindled off, but I've definitely grown a little bit.
All right. So we see the highlight reel, you dunking. Can you spread the floor? Can you shoot a little bit? Can you just give us your description of your game?
Yeah. I definitely like to say I can shoot a little bit, but I mean, it's nowhere near where it could be. There's definitely a lot of development. And like I said, another reason why I picked NDSU, Coach Richmond has been proven to develop players and shown like what he can do. So, I believed in him, and I feel that I can definitely develop my game a little more, if not a lot more. And being able to stretch the floor is, it's something you got to do in the Summit League. All the bigs, the 4s and the 5s can play everywhere. So you got to be able to do that.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your hometown, Stanley, Wisconsin, about a little over 5 hours from Fargo. How does mom and dad feel about trip that works for them?
Yes, sir, absolutely. My dad actually worked out there a lot of his life, so he always said he doesn't mind the drive at all. It's a pretty easy drive for us, so
and
they don't mind.
He's already done it, so he knows the way to get there. You mentioned earlier having the weight off your shoulders. What is this like to have it done now? Did you want it done in the summertime? Did we want it done before your senior season, or did it not matter?
It didn't really matter. I guess, when I knew the right thing right offer was going to come around, it was going to be the right thing. And I mean, I just got that feeling. It's a weird feeling, but you just know it's right almost. So, when that happened, I got that offer. I was like, if I could get this done and, commit and they're up to it, I'd totally do it. And there was nothing but good things from Coach Will, Coach Richmond. I loved it.
To have it done now, describe your anticipation for your senior year and to go out there knowing there's going to be a heck of a lot more eyes and a heck of a lot more probably double teams coming your way when the high school season gets going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially from being from a small town. I mean, like you said, the double teams, I've seen them from sophomore year, but, it's going to be a lot more this year. And with me putting a little size and weight on, it's going to be difficult, but, nothing we can't do. And hoping to make a deep playoff run and be at the Kohl's Center this winter.
So I got to ask, Charlie, the amount of guys, and it's not just basketball, there's a ton of athletes that have come to Fargo out of the state of Wisconsin. You describe that of what North Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota State that have come from the state of Wisconsin, even your area, and come over this way. Can you describe why it's such an appealing place to come?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I feel like a lot of Midwest kids and sports players, they grow up and they watch how dominant, just the Summit League is in general. And, with Wisconsin and Minnesota not having very many Division I's or even Division II's, especially in Wisconsin, we're D3 dominated. And then for those, higher level kids, you like to look over there and see just how good they are and what they've done. So it's almost like a dream, but.
Last thing before we go, and I appreciate your time this morning, to see NDSU play in the NCAA tournament, play in Michigan State, how big a deal was that a deal for you and seeing them make it to the NCAAs this past March?
I mean, it was so cool. I mean, when I seen they made the tournament and, watching that, I was like, wow. I mean, like I was at that school. I get to talk to all these like coaches and players, and it's like, wow, I could really be one of them one day. And, they've proven to hang the banners, and, some other schools I've talked to and seen, and, they just haven't been quite as successful as Coach Richmond. And if there's one thing I hate more than losing, it's that. And, NDSU don't do that often. They don't lose often. So I love it.
That is accurate in hoops. There's no doubt about it. Did you celebrate this weekend? What did you do? Are you put the celebration plans on hold on committing?
Not much celebration. Just, told my family and friends and got right back to it. Did a little 4th of July with my family and friends on the lake. But other than that.
How much AAU do you have left this summer?
So we got the 2 live periods this weekend and then next weekend after that. So we actually leave for St. Louis on Thursday and then we come back Sunday and then leave for Memphis next Thursday and then come back the next Sunday.
How different is that going to be now that it's over and done with? That you don't have to necessarily show out at AAU anymore?
Yeah, I mean, definitely don't have to show out, but if there's one thing I want to do, it's win. So, I'm going to go down there and there ain't going to be no slacking around or anything. So, going to work my butt off.
Hey, I appreciate the time, bud. Congratulations on committing. Thanks for doing this. Good luck this weekend, and we'll chat again before basketball gets going, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your time as well. Have a good one.
There it is, Charlie Hoel from Stanley, Wisconsin. He is the first commit for Bison basketball for the class of 2027. 6'9". You saw a little bit of his highlight reel that he can get up there and throw it down. And if he is in that Noah Federson model, and Noah came here at 6'9", 6'10", I want to say, out of Menominee, which is not – Eric can correct me on my Wisconsin geography, but I don't believe that Stanley and Menominee are that far away. And obviously Federson had a interesting road here. I think you'd say now obviously Noah's gone and going to play his final year at Colorado, so we'll see what happens with him in the Big 12 this upcoming winter. But I think Federson had an incline, then maybe a plateau, then maybe another incline. Then obviously when he went and found his new role and obviously became the sixth man of the year, he was great. He was really good over the last 3.5 months of the Bison basketball season. There's no other way to describe what he was. And if this guy can come in and follow in that mold, then you got a good player coming in. And again, at 6'9", 6'10" to come in the Summit League, you got to take those guys. Trayson Anderson in that same boat. Trayson we got to see for a couple years. Now he's off into the Missouri Valley Conference. That's a guy you don't mess around. Big East, he went to Butler, right? So you can't mess around with a guy like that. That's a guy you got to take a chance on, and hopefully he develops. Appreciate him joining here. All right, we'll break. Get caught up here. We got a few emails I want to get to, and much more as we roll on. Evan Wozniak will join us as well, NDSU's new punter. That's coming up when Hot Mike rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Charlie Hoel for giving us a few minutes there. That was good. All right, we got a bunch of emails we're going to try and clear through here that have accumulated throughout the program. Appreciate everybody reaching out here. This goes back to we're talking about broadcasters. Dom, all the checks the Twins TV and radio announcers receive have the name Polad on the bottom line. They have a hard time being critical of their employer. I understand that. I do appreciate, though, there are some broadcast teams that may work for said team that are still critical. I go back to this a lot. The Yankees broadcast team, I hate to say this out loud because the old man will never let me hear the end of it, but Michael Kay is good, and they're critical. SNY guys, if you spend any time watching the Mets, I apologize in advance for the rest of 2026, but Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darn, they're going to tell you how it is. And right now it's been bad, and I appreciate that. Don't tell me it's not raining outside, right? Like, if it's bad, just give it to me straight. That's what I want to hear. That, and I don't sugarcoat it to the viewer. That's always what I'll stand by on that. They know it's bad. Right? If they can see a pop-up that's missed by 3 middle infielders, then what are we doing? On the soccer conversation, Dom, for those that are on the same page as Drew with his rich/poor sports take, boxing in the United States is the correlated example. Once upon a time, boxing was the only way out of poverty for millions of people, and it drove the U.S. to dominate the globe at every weight class of boxing. That evaporated, and so did the sport. It's a good point on that. I think there was a time, obviously, look at a stretch from the 1930s to the mid-90s where the best heavyweight boxer in the world was an American, and that is certainly not the case anymore in a sport that is, over the last 30 years, been ravaged, not only just with its popularity, but in terms of where it stands worldwide. This is on jersey patches. Good morning, Dom. We've seen at least one Mountain West team, I believe Wyoming, take advantage of the opportunity for a sponsored jersey patch to bring in additional revenue. With Mountain West Media Day coming up soon, might an NDSU announcement be coming? Have you heard any rumors about possible sponsors? I'd hate to see NDSU miss out on this revenue opportunity. Thank you for your great work. Appreciate the email. I have heard a few rumors. I have heard that NDSU is out to a couple of potential sponsors. The money has not been agreed upon, and that's obviously, I think the emailer makes up a great point with Wyoming having set the bar that NDSU is going to want to go above what Wyoming got. I think that's whatever you call it, pride, whatever, ego, whatever you want to say. I don't think they're going to go for $1 less than what Wyoming got. Now it's a matter of can they find said sponsor or company to hop on board with that. It's certainly in the works, I've been told. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to get announced between now and next week, but maybe between now and the start of the season. Do we have a whole 53 days, I believe, before the game with Jacksonville State that they that's crazy to say that out loud, to make this happen. I also got this sent to me before the show got going from and NDSU actually put it out on its official social media. It's NDSU Athletics, both Twitter account, Facebook. They put everything out now. And this is going back to our video game conversation, which I know for some will make them shake their heads and don't understand. But this is what Troy Gergen was talking to us about last month when he joined the show, about a sponsorship and trying to get as much revenue as they can out of playing the video game. Now, if I remember right, College Football 27 is available on Thursday, although for some, again, I'm out of my element here, we're able to download it and play it earlier because I saw it this weekend on different platforms. But this is what they announced today, the NDSU High Roller Challenge. As you play as the Bison and complete any of the challenge milestones, I'm going to need help what a challenge milestone is. Each milestone earns a different number of points. Capture proof of each completed milestone by taking a screenshot or photo that clearly shows your achievement. Submit your evidence through the official High Roller Challenge form, which is on the Bison website. The grand prize is 2 round-trip airfare tickets to Vegas, 2 tickets to the NDSU UNLV game on October the 10th, and a 2-night hotel stay in Vegas. That's pretty darn cool, just for playing the video game. And apparently doing well on the game, which is benefits the school, because remember, as we found out when we did the initial reporting on this, when we found out NDSU is going to be in the game, that the more times you play said school, the more royalties go to the university. I guarantee you, for those going to watch our coverage next week, and I'm going to ask all of the players we get a chance to interview how big a deal this is, because they are used to it, right? The 9 other programs are used to being in the game, whether it's UTEP to San Jose State, UNLV to Nevada. This is not new ground. So I'm interested how big a deal it is to play as your team or play as yourself, because now this is NDSU's new reality come Thursday. Because I think for some of us, we just don't understand how big a deal it is to that generation. Because I can tell you to a T, when the announcement came, we were at the press conference, and I'm visiting with a few of the guys that are actually going to be in Vegas with us, whether it was Donovan Woolen, when we played that sound, whether it was Keenan Wilson to Nathan Hayes. They could not wait to get their hands on the game. And reminder that the ones that are used in the game, their likeness is there. They get paid for it. I think they get a free copy of the game as well. It's a big deal. I know you might be rolling your eyes at me like I couldn't care less about it. Financially, for the school, could be a big pile of money waiting for them at the end of the year. It'll be fascinating to see. All right, let's break. We come back. You'll meet the most recent North Dakota State football commit for 2027. We're going back to Wisconsin. Really interesting story. Evan Wozniak will join us on his commitment. The new member, as they said, of the 4th Down Army, the punter. That's coming up. We come back.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on this Tuesday morning. We're heading back into the Badger State here. We had one interview talking some basketball. Now to football is, I think NDSU is getting pretty darn close to being done with its class of 2027, which is crazy to say here in early July, because there were years where Bison hadn't even started getting commitments yet, let alone be in the mid-20s or early 20s for their class of 2027. But that's exactly where they're at, which is a new world for recruiting. The Bison added a specialist as well. They need those. Can only have so many punters on the team. Evan Wozniak is the latest to commit out of Heartland Arrowhead High School in Wisconsin, and he joins us here this morning to chat about anytime we can talk to the specialists. They're one of the most interesting guys on the team, and he joins us this morning because he's got a great backstory as well. Thanks for doing this, bud. Congratulations. Tell us about NDSU's got a pretty good special teams history. How big a factor was that for you in deciding to commit to Fargo?
I mean, obviously a big part. Currently they have Aaron Bickerton, and he's an absolute stud. I got to, on my official visit, he was my host, and he's doing really good things. He's a great guy.
So that familiarity, how big a deal was that to say, you know what, this is a spot I could see myself going to school at?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of Wisconsin guys that end up going to NDSU. And Fargo, it's very similar to home. And I noticed that the first time that I went up there, and then I confirmed it on the second time as well. And I think another similarity too is the feel and the fit and the culture. Mm-hmm. And at Arrowhead, we're built on hard work, confidence, and playing together. And then at NDSU, it's pretty similar with the compete, improve, tough mentality. And I think when you see their guys in action, it shows. And I think that's something that I want to be a part of. And I really liked everything about it.
All right, I'm always interested to how you get your name out as a punter. It's easy as a quarterback, a running back, wide receiver, linebacker. Like, how do you get known in the recruiting world as a punter?
Yeah, so I go to Cole's kicking camps. It's run through Jamie Cole. And so my kicking coach is Coach Radke. He's around 10 minutes away from here, and he actually helps out with our Arrowhead special teams, which has been amazing. He's been the biggest help to me and my recruitment and just getting me to the level that I'm at. And then, I mean, he's just been amazing. So it's all really to him. So
you get to the camp, and obviously Cole's camp, we've heard about how big a deal that is. Describe going in there and knowing, okay, I got to perform well. What kind of pressure was on when you get to a camp like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's always pressure no matter where you go, but once you become used to it, you don't really think about it as much, and it's just another day because I've punted the ball so many times in my life, and really it's just another punt, and obviously you're trying to do your best every day and put your best foot forward, but not really letting the pressure get to you and just kind of focusing on what you can control.
All right, so when did punting become reality for you? When did you first start doing it?
Yeah, so my dad actually punted at Madison, and he kind of got me into it. We started, I think the first time I went out was around second grade. And then I've been, kicking and punting and stuff like that for pretty much since then. So it's been fun.
Did you take right to it, or did it take a little bit?
It definitely takes a while. I mean, punting is one of the things that is very difficult to master, and a lot of consistency and showing up every day. That's what's made me the person that I am today. And just continued hard work, and yeah, that's about it.
All right, when was the first one that you really got? Like when you were younger, like, oh, okay, I think I can do this. Do you remember that? Like one you booted really well?
Yeah. I mean, I knew I always was I had a pretty strong leg. Punting, I didn't really start getting good at until really like my freshman into sophomore year. I was more of a kicker when I was younger. But then my sophomore year, I was first team all conference as a sophomore. And then my junior year, obviously, I was first team all state. And, I've just been kind of focusing on that. But it's been a little bit difficult with basketball and track on top of everything. So just making sure to make time for all of it and then focus on punting.
Well, and not only do you punt, you also play defense. You are all conference safety as well. That's not a normal combination. Tell us about that you're out there for 3 downs and then got to get ready and hey, okay, I got to go out and punt.
Yeah, so I've always played a position my whole life. A funny story about this. So my sophomore year, my first game on varsity was the first drive. I ended up getting a 73-yard pick six, and then kicked the extra point, kicked off, and then went back on defense. So I just get pretty used to it, I guess. And, it's fun. I like competing. So
were you tired after that little stretch?
Yeah, heart rate was up a little bit, but, I made it and kicked off and then got back out there. So
that's amazing. That's good stuff. I saw Harvard offered you not that long ago before the Bison got in. When Harvard offers, what is that? What goes through your mind when you get that kind of offer?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely amazing because it was my first offer at that time. And obviously everyone knows the first one is like the best one because, not necessarily a feel-good thing, but that you belong and you can be a collegiate level specialist. Yeah. And I'm a pretty smart guy, but Harvard is a very good opportunity, and so is Toledo as well. I mean, I feel like I really had 3 great options, and at the end of the day, it just came down to NDSU and Coach Polsack and the fit, and it felt right for me.
All right. Give us the recruiting pitch that NDSU gave you and what said, okay, I can see myself going there.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a great program. I mean, the history speaks for itself of all the success that they've had. And them going to FBS, I think it's going to carry over. And I really, really like Coach Polsack. He's very similar to my head coach, in my opinion. And he brings a sort of urgency and passion that I really, really like. And that's the type of guy that you want to play for. So
he knows his special teams as well. Was that apparent that he understands what you do and do well?
Yeah, he was saying, so when I was on my official visit, he was telling me that like the specialists are his kind of guys. So he'll like, when they have like their dinners or stuff like that, they always go to his house. And I think that's just cool to show the togetherness and the community and the group of guys that they have and how close knit they are.
And being a Wisconsin guy like yourself, there was an automatic bond, I imagine, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many Wisconsin guys. I know I threw discus against Tucker Thieneman, and I saw him I think he was at the bookstore, and I just saw him and said what's up to him. And, you know, there's so many guys from Wisconsin there. So
wait a minute, you threw discus against that guy. Where did you finish compared to him? Because I've seen him in person. He's a large dude.
Yeah. I feel like he beat me, but yeah, previous year I threw my junior year, I threw 159.11 and then 53 feet in shot put.
That's pretty good. That's good stuff. All right, I have to ask, because I did not know how your team won the state high school football championship in the biggest class in Wisconsin this past fall. You guys beat Bayport. The Bison have had a couple guys from Bayport come up here. You got it. We're gonna have the video, Evan, of how the game ended. Take us through the last 3 plays, because Bayport scored a touchdown. They go up with under a minute to go, and then you can take it from there.
Yeah, so obviously they scored, and you know, we didn't really think it was over because we had this kick return that we put in, and we knew if they kicked it to our stud returner, Ryan Hyman, that it's going to be very difficult for them to tackle him. And we had some great blocks. Our other receiver, Harper Hughes, made a great block. And then Ryan ended up scoring. And then after that, we kicked off. And there was about 45 seconds left, I believe. And we were in kind of like our prevent defense. And they ended up getting a pass interference, or we ended up getting a pass interference call. And then their quarterback threw a really nice pass. And then they were they were in the red zone with the last play of the game, and they had around a 30-yard field goal attempt that they foregoed, and they ended up going for it, and we got to stop when we needed to, and then the rest is history.
What was it like being on the field for that at the end, playing defense on that last play?
Yeah, I mean, the whole year we always talked about, like, it always came down to the defense. Like, we were really the guys that we knew we needed to get a stop, and I wouldn't want to go out there with any other 10 guys. And, I mean, our defense was so special last year, and I knew we had it. So
this has been great. I really enjoyed this conversation. So now it's over and done with. Tell me what the next little bit is like before fall camp gets going here in the not-too-distant future for you.
Yeah, so we're just kind of doing some summer workout stuff. We're lifting 2 days a week and then practicing 2 days a week. It's a pretty good balance where you don't have to worry about not getting summertime. You can manage playing football, which you love, and then also having time just to relax during the summer. And then we'll go into some contact days in the next coming weeks, and then we'll start fall camp and then get ready to go.
Furthest punt you've ever had? How far have you kicked a football for a punt?
In the air or with a roll?
Either way, give us the number.
Last year I had a 67-yard punt with 4.7 seconds of hang time, but it went 57 in the air. My furthest in the air punt was 62.
Woo. That's pretty good, especially with the wind that blows around here. That's pretty darn good. I appreciate the time, bud. Congratulations. Have a great rest of the summer. We'll talk before signing day, okay?
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Evan Wozniak joining us out of Heartland, Wisconsin. Plays at Arrowhead, the reigning Class A champions in the state of Wisconsin. Crazy finish you saw there. We know Bayport. Bayport is Alex Warden's school. I believe is currently on the Bison football roster. They've sent some guys up here. That's some high-level talent that's played in that game, and Evan was part of it, not only punting but also playing safety. He was an all-conference first-team safety selection for Arrowhead as well. So that is the most up-to-date recruiting number. I believe it's 23 that they have. I'll double-check that in the commercial break here, that NDSU's in for the class of 2027, with the option to probably add a few more between now and, of course, signing day is until December, so they still have 5 full months before anything has to be signed on the dotted line. But appreciate Evan giving us a few minutes there to wrap the show. And with that, we'll take our final break. We come back, we'll put a bow on things, get you ready for a pretty good Sports Tuesday. Twins are back in action tonight. We'll get you ready for that one. Hot Mike Wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Appreciate all the emails we got in today. Good stuff. Just reading a couple other comments here on the soccer pricing part. Drew hit on it in our first hour, saying the issue isn't with the national team, as we have great athletes on the national team. It's the system is terrible for 98% of kids and parents who will never really have a chance, though these youth programs act as if they're producing Olympians every 4 years. That is very accurate. We have tiptoed into the youth soccer area here locally. I can tell you it is, I think, pretty reasonably priced. It's funny because an email just came out yesterday. The Jackman is in like the recreational one. It's not in the super competitive one. Jack enjoys doing it. We'll find out if he wants to. If he wants to keep doing it, then in a competitive level, then we will embrace that. But there were last year, there were certainly kids in his age level that were way better than just being recreational soccer. They were in the competitive soccer level, right? Like they were clearly they had been doing soccer for a bit. Jack has been doing it for the better part of, I think, 2 years, but only occasionally. This is not something that he spends all of his time on. And it was so yesterday, the specific group we go through said that they're not allowing basically to double dip. You're either going to be in the competitive or you're going to be in the recreational level, because we saw that last year, and I can remember looking at my wife saying, boy, that kid is this is not his first foray into soccer, and that was clear. So at least there has that little delineation there, but it's a thing. And if it's pricing people out at an early age, then we are behind the rest of the world in what they do for their sport. We mentioned it yesterday as well. Talking season officially is here. The Big 12 media days are underway. Of all places, at the Star in Frisco, the commissioner of the Big 12, Brett Yormark, is speaking now. Refused to address any questions about Brendan Sorsby, which is odd considering how loud the Big 12 was for not wanting him to play. To not address any specific questions is weak, in my opinion. The league, is talking about jersey patches, has announced that Monster Energy, as the entitlement partner of football and basketball regular seasons. During the regular season, Big 12 football and men's and women's basketball will be branded as Monster Energy Big 12 football and Monster Energy Big 12 basketball for all conference-controlled assets and platforms. A co-branded Monster Energy and Big 12 conference logo will be featured on football and basketball jerseys, fields, and courts, with additional integration across conference digital and social media channels. So there's a whole league diving in with, I have to imagine, a pretty sizable amount of money coming to said conference. That's one way to go about it. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. The World Cup does continue. The United States is out, but the tournament doesn't end. The Argentines play here in just a few minutes against Egypt. That kicks off at the top of the hour on Fox. The Twins play tonight. They have the Guardians coming to town. Twins are right in the wild card race here, folks. Breaking news, 6:30 tonight on Twins TV. And Wimbledon rolls on. We're into the women's quarterfinals today. That continues right now on ESPN. Our thanks to Evan Wozniak, to Charlie Hoel, to Mike McFeely, and to Drew Trafton. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of our proceedings on WDAY+. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow.